Hi, I'm April, and welcome to the short. In today's story, a grandmother is raising her wayward grandson, and when his latest misstep leads to blackmail, we may all need to pray for Mama May. Enjoy. One egg shy of a good day. Please enjoy today's presentation on the short, One Egg Shy of a Good Day. I was one egg away from making Mama May's prize-winning buttermilk biscuits. Cooking always cleared my head, and I felt a peace coming on as I prepared to mix up the batter. My promising day, however, took a turn when I reached for an egg and came back empty-handed. I peeked inside the carton then, praying it might, by some unnatural miracle, lay one more Shelley right there on the counter. Cyrus never did speak up when we ran short on something in the kitchen, especially something he surely used the last of. "Cyrus!" I was tempted to heap a mind full of curses on that boy, but the good Lord nudged my spirit and I took a deep breath. All right, Lord, all right. I'd settled down by the time my 17-year-old grandson shuffled into the kitchen, but certainly hadn't forgotten. "Cyrus, I need you to pick me up a dozen eggs at Sunnyside." I caught a glimpse of that crooked grin of his and handed him $3. "Hurry back now, all right, boy? No goofing around neither. I need them eggs." "Yes, ma'am." He left and I shook my head, noting the time. It was nearly 10 o'clock. If Cyrus walked backwards and blindfolded, he should have been back with my eggs by 10:30. When he wasn't, I tapped my foot for 15 more minutes and then angrily drove to the market myself. That, of course, stirred up a whole different set of circumstances. Aubrey St. John worked at Sunnyside Grocers. He was old as God himself, some said, and by looking at him, you'd be inclined to believe it. With skin wrinkled into shoe leather and hair that had long abandoned the scalp to reveal a shiny black dome, something on the inside had stayed right around 18 years of age. Granted, I ain't been mistaken for a spring chicken for decades neither, but Aubrey was schooled with my daddy and still hadn't made peace with the fact that his courting days might be long gone. Any upright female shopping at Sunnyside Grocers turned Aubrey's head, but that man harbored a generous infatuation for me. I had thrown a few sponge rollers in my hair and covered my fitted sweater with an old house coat so as not to encourage amorous Aubrey. I needn't have bothered. "Well, good afternoon to you, Miss May." Aubrey smiled, sharing his gappy grin. "Woo! If I may say, you're as pretty as the day is long." "Hello, Aubrey. Sorry, can't stay and chat. I'm in a rush." I waved him off and shuffled quickly to refrigerated foods. After inspecting the selection, I picked a beautiful carton of brown eggs and made my way to the checkout. I was just scraping up the $2.26 from the bottom of my bag when God threw me another test. "Grandma!" That familiar voice pulled my ear toward the back of the store, where I spotted Cyrus being let out by the arm. Big Thomas the clerk seemed to have a mighty heavy hand on the boy. Aubrey joined them, and the men shared a quick word. Oh, Lord, what now? I left my eggs on the belt and stepped out of line to head back there. "Cyrus, what's going on?" Aubrey turned and took hold of my elbows. "Well, now, May, it ain't good news." "Cyrus, what did you do?" My grandson took a sudden interest in the floor as Aubrey continued. "May, I'm sorry. Cyrus was caught shoplifting again." I felt a fever flash through my blood and thought it better to pray than use my words. Help me, Jesus. This boy's going to be the death of me, although right now I might just be the death of him. I need you to calm me, Lord. Aubrey continued. "Since it's not his first offense, May, we've got to call the sheriff." I gripped him. "Oh, please, Aubrey, don't do that. Don't send my grandbaby to jail." "Miss Dubois," Big Thomas faced me without loosening his hold on Cyrus, "your grandson continues to be a thorn in the side of this establishment." "I know, sir, I do. And I'm sorry. I sounded sweet as sugar cane, but I wanted to wring that boy's neck." The large man continued. That incident last summer with the fireworks cost the store more than $1,500. Hey, Cyrus snapped. I worked that off. Big Thomas shook him. Well, you won't get off so easy this time, boy. Let's go. I reached for my grandson. Where are you taking him? To the store manager. Mr. Henson will want to call the police. Big Thomas, Aubrey said, rubbing his chin. Let me handle this. But I caught him red-handed in the... Thomas, I am the senior manager. Aubrey took Cyrus from him. I will handle this, and don't mention anything to Mr. Henson. I'll take care of that myself as well. But Uncle Aubrey... Big Thomas succumbed to the unspoken threat I wasn't privileged to see. Uncle Aubrey. Sometimes I wondered if Aubrey wasn't kin to everyone in Clark County. Robbed of his day's excitement by an overbearing uncle, Big Thomas slunk back to the rear storeroom. Now, Miss May, Aubrey's eyes had caught a glint. I can make all this go away, but there are 2 things I need. I sat back on my heels at Aubrey's tone. Go on. He turned to my grandson. First off, Cyrus, you're banned from the store. Cyrus looked disgusted. For how long? Well, forever, son. What? My fever roared again. Boy, you best be glad you are not at this moment taking a ride with the sheriff. So shut your mouth and give Mr. Aubrey your word you'll never set foot in Sunnyside again. But Grandma, Cyrus Tyrone Dubois. Okay, you have my word. I won't come in no more. Aubrey looked into his eyes. That goes for the parking lot and surrounding store property. Cyrus sighed. So not fair. What, boy? Okay. No store, no surrounding area. Got it. I mean it, young man, Aubrey said, because the next time you feel like destroying or stealing something around here, you will go to jail. There won't be no next time, sir. My grandson sounded defeated, but I'd heard that weak promise before. My prayers would have to carry the rest of the load. Aubrey turned to me with his spacious grin. Now, Miss May, as you may recall, I said smoothing things over would require 2 things. Oh, Lord. I nodded. You and me, May. Dinner at the Sizzlers Friday night. Dinner? That's what I said. Just dinner? Then I go home and Cyrus is off the hook for this? Unless you want more than dinner. Aubrey seemed to have lost his faculties with half his teeth. Dinner it is. We shook hands and he released Cyrus to me. I never did get my eggs. I laid into my grandson on the ride home. Boy, if you don't stay out that store, I'm going to end up married to that man. You better steer clear of the place, you hear? Yes, ma'am. Lies fell from Cyrus like salt from a shaker, so it felt best to believe them than consider life without the lanky little fool. Cecilia, his mother, had died at an early age. I couldn't bear it if his life was cut short by a prison sentence. I'd just have to protect my grandson from his own stupidity, even if it meant giving in to Aubrey's blackmail. The week dragged on, and a growing pain in my joints warned of a good rain coming. But the sky held its moisture, and Friday arrived leisurely without a drop. Must have been a threatening downpour of Aubrey causing my aches and pains. That man did have a way of sinking in. Being a woman of my word, however, I prepared for my date. Even gussied up a bit. I had to admit it. It felt nice to fuss over my hair and add a little color to my face for a change. When the doorbell rang, 10 minutes early, I'd worked up quite a portion of enthusiasm about enjoying a buffet I didn't have to prepare or pay for. I opened the door and, grinning widely, Aubrey stood on my porch with a handful of flowers. These little posies seemed sad at the store, so I thought I'd give them something better to look at. He hunched to talk to the flowers. Didn't I tell you, fellas, ain't she a beauty? I caught myself smiling and put a quick stop to it. Good evening, Aubrey. Thank you for the flowers. You'd better get those in some water before they wilt up. You're right. I spun and took them into the kitchen. I had them flowers quickly vased, and I returned to my living room to find Aubrey settled comfortably on the sofa. "Aubrey, aren't we could I trouble you for a glass of water, Miss May? I'm parched." I brought him his water, but after that he needed to use the washroom. Then he wanted a sliver of the pecan pie I made that afternoon. I couldn't blame him. The smell of it still hung sweet and heavy in the house. So much so, I decided to have a sliver myself. While returning to the living room with 2 bowls of ice cream to go with the pie, I caught an unfettered gander at God's creation sitting on my sofa. Looking like a shriveled raisin, he fussed at his suit. For perhaps the first time, I realized how lonely Aubrey must be and how sad it was that the man had to blackmail an old woman for a date. Shame on me. We had some warmed-up pot roast, greens, and mashed potatoes after dessert. Home cooking, especially my home cooking, beat Sizzlers any day of the week. Aubrey and I moved out to the porch swing where we talked and laughed till the wee hours before he drove home. The next afternoon, I joined members of my garden club for our Saturday brunch, and although not the most spiritual activity, a hefty sprinkling of gossip. "Oh, May," Clarice clapped my hand, "you poor dear." I smiled. "It wasn't so bad. In fact—" "Well, what timing, huh?" Hazel added. "At least you know Aubrey didn't stand you up." "Hazel!" someone snapped at her. "Stand me up? He didn't. We had a real nice time." "May, it's all right. We already know. We heard it this morning." Phyllis, president of our garden club, was shaking her head at me. "Heard what?" I asked. Clarice sat up. "That Aubrey died in his sleep sometime Thursday night." "What are you all talking about? Aubrey had dinner with me Friday, last night, and he was very much alive." "Doc Calloway went by his place early yesterday and found him. Said he'd been dead about a day," Phyllis explained. "He's mistaken. We were chatting together until well past midnight, not 12 hours ago." "Was he acting strangely?" Clarice asked. "No, he didn't seem out of sorts at all. In fact, he was a perfect gentleman." "If Aubrey was a perfect gentleman, you should have known something was wrong." "Hazel!" Phyllis chastised her, and the women giggled as I tried to process what they were saying. "Aubrey dead?" I wiped away a tear and thanked the Lord that man didn't go to his final resting place with stinging memories of my sourness as his last human interaction. Guilt wasn't something I needed to carry with me into my golden years. As the girls continued to confirm reports of Aubrey's death, I ignored their inaccurate timeline and instead shared details of our surprisingly pleasant evening together. I should have known better than to give those jabberjaws any fuel, because the town talked for weeks about my date with a dead man. During the funeral, Cyrus said some real nice words about Aubrey and served as a pallbearer. Sometimes even I forget the boy never had much in the way of a father figure, and I appreciated the mercy he received by way of Aubrey. After the service, Mr. Henson offered my grandson a job at Sunnyside. He said it was in honor of Aubrey, who was all about giving people a second chance. Second? Neither of us corrected Mr. Henson about that number. Aubrey's sudden demise made me reconsider what I classified as a good or bad day. No empty carton of eggs would steal the goodness out of another day of life. As for dealing with my grandson's antics, well, even the Lord himself may keep busy helping me with that. Thank you for listening to the short, and I hope you enjoyed today's presentation. Please know that God loves you, and when you're ready to talk, He's ready to listen. God bless you.